At this moment, the trade is tasting the wines, talking to the proprietors about quality, prices, volumes, etc. The Primeur campaign starts roughly end of April and ends at the latest early July. The beginning of the Primeur campaign is the chateaus selling wines to their merchants. And as a merchant, I buy the wines, and then I decide whether I would like to sell some wines to people who've been buying regularly from us. I usually keep some stocks for my own company to sell after the wine is physical, because some markets do not buy Primeur. It's not the tradition, like Russia. China is just starting. So we make offerings when the wines are commercially available to some customers and keep some stocks for ourselves, like most merchants. So typically, when I get the wines available, I'm offered the wines with a quantity and a price. I confirm my order with the chateau, and then I will make an offer to, let's say, a company in the USA like K&L Wine Merchants, and Clyde will buy the wines and then start offering them to his private customers. So it's a very small chain, in fact. It's very quick. Well, there are two advantages, frankly, in buying Primeur. Well, first of all, there's an option to get the wines bottled according to your needs. So you may order from your retailer, your merchant, the wines to be bottled in half bottles, magnums, double magnums, even bigger bottles. So that's a nice thing to do for gifts. That's why you can select your thing. It's also a way to secure rare wines, which are going to become very scarce later on. I'm talking probably more about right bank wines, of course. And then also, usually it is the moment where one should buy the wines, because on average, that's the moment you're going to pay the best price. The initial reason for the Primeur sale, or sur souche, which is even earlier, that's before the harvest, was a way for the chateau to finance their business. One must keep in mind that the chateau have been losing money for 200 years, basically, and are making huge amount of money, which is fair now. And so it was a way to finance the properties. The Primeur business is year in, year out something which is for the top chateaus, which are the most sought after chateaus. And then for the rest, it depends on the years. Let's say the very popular years, more chateaus are offered and sold Primeur. In lesser years, the number of chateaux eligible for, so to speak, for an Primeur market is more reduced. To know about the quality of a new vintage at an early stage is not very complicated if you are in that business and that you taste wines all the time at a young stage. It's a tasting, you're tasting basically forward and trying to imagine what the young wine is going to be when it is finalized, when it is in bottle. When you taste a young wine, you're trying to guess how the wine is going to evolve through the process of élevage in the cask at the property. And the aromas are very raw, it's very brutal in a way. And some of these flavors that you find in a young wine are going to disappear eventually, and other flavors are going to come. A good key to what the wine is going to be like is to focus on the finish of the wine, which tells the truth. I am always excited to taste and retaste these wines because they evolve very quickly. They change with the weather. You have a low pressure, they don't taste as good, and when we have a high pressure, they are very sensitive to the weather, the young wines. And also they evolve naturally, and over a month they change, and you change as well. You're in a good mood or in a lesser mood, it changes your perspective on the wines. But it's a pleasure to taste them, retaste them, make sure that your judgment is okay, and it's fun and it's really good this year. I was surprised by the quality of the 2010s when I tasted them firsthand. And once again, after a big vintage like 2009, you sort of prejudiced against the next vintage, thinking that it's not going to be at the same level. And what I've tasted so far is very surprising, different in quality, but at a very high level. And it's always a pleasure for our merchants to have a good quality wine to deal with.